This is Hearthstone Grandmasters. It's our fourth match of the day. And Gia, it's Alutemu versus Shaxy, but it is a very different Alutemu from what we saw last season.
That is true. While Shaxi was in Division B last season, Alutemu was definitely one of the top of the pack in Division A, but now failing to get on stream at all during the first 3 weeks during the Swiss portion. It feels very, I don't want to use the word disappointing because every player has bad days, but definitely not what I was expecting from Alutemu.
Yeah, I mean, I think at least for himself, he'll be extremely disappointed in his performance. The level of play that he has set, both in terms of his results and just how he's been playing, whether he won or not with his play, has been very high. Obviously, we did not get to see the matches that were played before the broadcast days, the previous 3 weeks. Whereas now in the upcoming 4 weeks, every match is going to be on stream for our players. So we will get to see Alutemu and get to analyze what's going on here. Is he playing well and just not getting the cards or the situations that he needs to take the win? Or has something changed? Is the metagame maybe not favoring him so much anymore? It's a very different style of deck from what we saw last season. However, I think I can personally get very much on board with the lineup that he has brought here. Highlander Priest, Tempo Mage, and Zoo Warlock, somewhat interestingly enough, I think are all very reasonable decks to bring to the current metagame.
I think 3 out of 4 are positioned to be pretty aggressive, and even Priest in some respects can just tempo out sometimes if they hit the right curve. So this is what I would call cookie cutter plus Zoo. It's just interesting that there's an omission of Mob Warrior, which 3/4 of the field was bringing. Alutemu not the only one to leave it out of his lineup, but given that he himself has an Ooze and Stinky Finger in his Priest, I'm pretty sure he had it in mind as something he could possibly face.
Yeah. I think that it's very possibly some of the players are just thinking that Bomb Warrior is not quite strong enough at the moment, because again, if you have a Priest that's tech to deal with it, that can be a pretty tough matchup from the Warrior's perspective. Even some of the aggro decks, like I think Rogue is a decent matchup for the Bomb Warrior, but not an auto win by any stretch. Whereas Shaxy on the other side, with the Bomb Warrior, Mage, Rogue, the fourth deck, which is I think where a lot of players have struggled to find that last slot, he's gone with the Demon Hunter, which I think is a deck that would also be quite a happy band there for Alutemu if he could get rid of the Warrior and the Demon Hunter.
It's true. And while Shaxi, when he last brought Demon Hunter, was running a much more off the walls list with a
That's
bunch of
true.
1-drops, and I was saying there was potential for that to be an archetype in and of itself, it seems that with further time to test, Shaxi has defaulted more towards the standard list with the Soul Shards and Glaive Bounce at the top, Soul Theologist Militia, and just the Spirit Trailers for 1-drops. What's interesting is that he's gone even harder on the burst damage, I would say,
Right.
with the double wand makers in there to potentially give you more twin slices, and Horde Pillager for another weapon.
Which is interesting, because my first instinct was to say that by going for the higher burn damage route, he's weakening himself to aggro. But like upon closer inspection, that's not necessarily the case, because a lot of the quote-unquote aggro decks at the moment, like Mage and Rogue is kind of what I mean by that, they're not really aggro decks in the strict sense. They're just kind of tempo decks that have a lot of powerful combos. And they are very vulnerable to face damage a lot of the time, I find. With Mage and Rogue, they have basically no healing in the deck unless they can generate some. And so that can be a very powerful way to approach things when we get to the Demon Hunter. But right now, it's Rogue on Zoo, a matchup that you and I have tested quite a bit over the last couple of weeks.
Yes, indeed. And it definitely feels like if Rogue wants to get the win, it hinges heavily on getting down a big threat immediately before Zoo can actually pop off. And the Edwin, already in head for Shaxi with the coin, definitely feels like a great way to go about that. For Alutemu, I would say the mulligan is a lot more interesting, because while Flame Imp on 1 is always great, and Cult Neophyte technically just follows the curve pretty nicely, it shuts down a coin play on Rogue for turn 2, they feel like they're not the huge power spike you want to hit as.
It's so tough, isn't it? Because against a lot of matchups, I would say Flame Imp Neophyte is like the nuts. Like against Druid, for example, that's just a lot of pressure right out the gate, and you're going to start killing them very quickly. However, against Rogue, that has pretty strong reactivity through the use of Backstab, or even something like the Blackjack Stunners, you do kind of want to hit the power cards, by which I mean Dark Glare and Hand of Gul'dan being discarded. So I think in the end I would probably have gone with the same route as Alutemu, because Cult Neophyte can shut off some of that reactivity, but it's, I think, harder than first meets the eye.
Yes, I definitely agree. I think One thing that we both know for sure is that when you have Flame Imp, Spirit Jailer is not a keep. And a lot of the time, Spirit Jailer is straight up just not a keep, despite it being a 1-mana
Yes.
1/3. It's very good for its stats, but Zoo can just do so much better than that. And in fact, it needs to do better than just a well-statted minion on curve every single turn to beat Rogue when they power spike.
Speaking of power spike, I think Shaxy here was probably fairly happy to see a Cult Neophyte on this turn. Didn't want to go with it didn't want to go with the pop-off quite yet with Edwin. Even with the prep being found there, just wanted to wait a little bit longer, most likely.
And it starts to get very scary for Alutemu because he has not hit Tour Guide nor Raise Dead to actually just activate the Diseased Vulture next turn. And so we could just be seeing him go very, very slowly for the near future. And Flinger, I feel like, is pretty significant just as a 1/1 body against Rogue can sometimes be annoying.
So Penflinger has some amount of value to just go with Diseased Vulture on turn 5 as well. Like, it could be Vulture on 4, Vulture on 5, and then Penflinger to shoot yourself in the face to summon 2/3 drops. That's obviously very contingent on the Vulture sticking. But I've got to say, I think the value that you're getting from playing it here is, on average, just not quite worth it.
Yeah, now that you bring up synergy with Vulture, I do keep forgetting you can fling your own face. I like the idea of holding on to it because at least turn 4 Vulture, not great, but sometimes it sticks, and then turn 5, second Vulture plus Flinger. Sometimes you hit the absolute nuts. At worst, you get a 3-drop.
Well, Gia, it makes sense that I would spot those lines because I was the kid in the back of the class poking himself in the face with a pen for many years at school. So that it worked for me for quite a while.
And here's your school bully, it looks like, about to come down this turn for I don't know how huge the stats will be.
Well, it's kind of awkward, right? Because you obviously can't play Passage on the same turn as Edwin, so the play would be coin prep nothing into Edwin. Because that, I think I do agree with just holding off on this turn, because either Rush or Kobold Lackey looked very, very strong there to clear up the board, and then the plays start to become disgusting with Edwin.
What do you mean? I meant Miscreant was your school bully. He's called a Miscreant.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah, in any case, that did make a lot of sense. I was a little bit short of being able to pair it with Vendetta. It's just awkward to use coin there because now you can't coin prep Vendetta, as sad as that is, just to play Edwin. But Shaxy can just delay a little bit longer. It's not to the point where the Flesh Giants are cheap enough to pressure him to get down the biggest minion immediately. But this draw for Alutemu at least allows him to keep cycling.
Yeah, it's big. It's a big draw to be able to keep the to actually get some of the power cards. You know, as soon as he can find Dark Glare, some of the self-damaging effects, that's when he can start really exploding onto this board. But I don't think that was an autoplay. You know, there was some real consideration there to just go Diseased Vulture to spend his mana a lot more efficiently. And then, again, like I said, there's the possibility for Vulture, Penflinger on the following turn. Then you follow up with the Merchant. I think it was a tough turn there, actually.
Close, but in the end, I like the idea of just trying to go a bit harder for the power spike. For Alutemu here, using the last 2 mana is also not so straightforward. Zoo has a lot of these micro decisions. While the tap does get him closer to Flesh Giant, I think Alutemu could very soon run into hand space issues, as if this merchant dies, then he'll want to be playing the Nightshade Matron to possibly discard Hand of Gul'dan again, assuming that he can get the Giant 1 mana cheaper to guarantee.
Yeah, I think it's the other thing. There was some talk there, as to whether he should go for Soulfire to kill off the Miscreant, but I think I like saving that for the potential to kill off a big Edwin. But even with Nightshade in combination with Soulfire here, he is going to be hard-pressed to kill off this Edwin, because, oh my lord, is it going to get massive now. He could even go prep Clever Disguise, which gets him the spell to go for Vendetta.
These are all very true words.
Okay.
I'm gonna prioritize getting down Dirty Tricks. Would rather have 2-card deck very likely instead of more on the Edwin.
I think I disagree with that, actually. Like, you have 2 secret passages, right? Value is not your concern here at all.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Not that the 1-3 was particularly threatening, but it just
Mm.
makes the Edwin that little bit harder to remove.
So there is, with Nightshade Matron Soulfire on this turn, exactly enough to clear off the Edwin, I believe.
Oh man. And
which is...
kinda does have to go for it.
I mean, this is a huge punish for Shaxy's line as well. Like, Nightshade Matron Soulfire is not an especially unlikely thing to happen, and it's really the only thing that can possibly clear off your Edwin.
Ooh, that is unfortunate for
That is a
Alutemu,
yikes.
though. It's the 1 and 3 for the bad outcome.
Oh,
And
man.
the Soulfire misses.
That was like the worst possible outcome. And yeah, I mean, even despite that disastrous instance outcome there for Alutemu, I think he should be even further behind here, in all honesty.
Okay, it's the 35%er for Vendetta at the very least.
Your presence.
I'm just playing that, I think, yeah. I want a 4-drop on the board. You know, the Vendetta can be activated with the 1 Thief next turn anyway.
Yeah, true. The alternative was just 1 Thief plus X spell. You'd rather have the guaranteed minion. Okay. That is a little bit late.
Oh man, it's so brutal. Imagine how different this game would be if he discarded the hand. He'd have a giant. He'd probably have a tour guide as well, most likely, to be able to go with a Dark Glare, pop off this turn. Like, he could very possibly be winning.
I think it's still not over, though, for Alutemu. On the next turn, he can guarantee discard the Hand of Gul'dan.
That's true.
Oh!
Evocation. Yep, sign me up. That looks like a fireball to me.
Alutemu has to pull off some miracles, though. Health total will be very, very much in danger of depletion soon.
Stepping the miscreant here, I guess I'm okay with that. I mean, honestly, I was looking at just stepping the Spell Lackey to try and get another Eviscerate, Cold Blood, Sinister Strike, because you want to clear as much space as possible in your hand with Evocation Secret Passage, the combo to fill your hand with mage spells. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What is the biggest miracle Zoo can pull off this turn? That's a good start.
Yeah, so he'll still have the mana to go Dark Glare, Raise Dead afterwards, so I'm fine with this, because Matron is just a good card to play on this turn.
Yeah. Always getting some work.
A little agony goes a long
Mm-hmm.
way.
Has a Flame Imp in the pool. Doesn't hit it.
There is so much untapped power in this world.
Getting closer and closer, but not quite there.
He did not take a free tap here, probably out of fear of the health total.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, I mean, play the Kobold Lucky first, right? You're just more likely to hit lethal with more board space. Or more hand space, even. Okay, sure. It doesn't really matter.
Nowhere
either
to point it, I suppose.
way. Yeah.
How is this not lethal?
I mean, it may as well be, right? Like, Brain Freeze
Yeah.
on the middle guy, and then go for the... Yeah, okay. I mean, either way you go about it, there's plenty of ways to clear the board off here, aren't there? I was
There's
looking
just
at
no way
Combust.
Alutemu can come back with double Nightshade Matrons played. No Broomsticks in the list, and no healing outside of the Soul Fragments.
Yeah, I think, you know, a rough game for sure there for Alutemu, and I think he gave it the best chance possible, like ordering it correctly in order to give him the highest chance, 2 out of 3 to discard Hand of Gul'dan. I think the real unfortunate bit there is that Shaxy missed the opportunity to make his Edwin that little bit bigger and get it out of range. But this is what happens with Zoo. If it doesn't explode right at the start of the game with huge amounts of tempo, it just loses.
I don't think I've seen this time played in a very, very long time. I wish he played it. But that will indeed be game 1 Shaxy, and that's a big deal, because I have had plenty of trouble beating Zoo as Rogue in the past.
against me specifically in our practice games. I mean, Alutemu has a lot to learn about being a filthy high roller like myself, always discarding Hand of Gul'dan, always getting the Dark Glares at the start, but I'll be happy to teach him anytime he wants.
Yeah, pass on the power, which Avar passed on to you, I suppose.
Yes, indeed. Zoo, of course, struggling to take a win right at the start there, though, which means Rogue out of the way is not a huge deal, I think, for Shaxy. I don't feel like there's any especially weak deck overall in the lineup. I think Demon Hunter is fairly likely to get a win against the likes of Mage, Rogue. Should be able to just go face a whole bunch. Even the Zoo, for the most part, they're just going to be damaging themselves too much to the point where Demon Hunter can just hit them in the face with a couple of marrow slicers, and that should lock out the game. So I think already, even just being 1-0 up, Shaxy is a huge favorite.
Yeah, I think that Demon Hunter is possibly the strongest among Shaxy's deck against specifically Alutemu's lineup
Yeah.
because of that zoo and because it has so much potential to just go over the top of minions. The build from Shaxy, though, may be a little bit vulnerable because it is cutting some of the removal package to go a little bit more all in on the damage. We've seen some people with their demon hunters running immolation aura recently, which has a great way of sweeping up apprentices,
Your
etc.
soul shall be mine. This
Well, we are going to
ends
see the Demon Hunter now
now.
lining up against the Zoo. It's a weird matchup for sure, because the point of Zoo, what it does, is it damages itself for huge amounts right at the start of the game, and it unlocks incredibly high potential combos along with that. But a lot of the time, Demon Hunter can just ignore what's happening on the board, hit its opponent in the face, and take easy wins.
And the zoo player needs to be very careful about all of the damage breakpoints they get to. Sometimes it can just be that difference between one extra tap made that lets you be defeated. I think Tom60229 showed great understanding of the matchup of how to play Zoo in different matchups. But
Right.
against Demon Hunter in particular, their reach is just super scary.
Well, this is an incredibly aggressive hand for Alutemu. Obviously, both can be played on this turn. Nightshade Matron on turn 4 as well. It's looking super powerful.
Yeah, I think it's just a question of whether he taps as well this turn. Given that he doesn't immediately need to play anything from the tap this turn, I'd be inclined to hold on to it in case it's a Dark Lair off the top.
I mean, there's the potential of hitting another demon, right? That's why you do it, because you can hit Voidwalker, Flame Imp, or Spirit Jailer. So there's a few, it's a fifth of your deck at this point that is just an actively fantastic draw. And on the following turn, is the tap still being saved for anything? If anything, it's going to be saved for turn 5, really, after the Nightshade Matron.
Matron also being a demon is huge for Alutemu's curve. I doubt this Canrathad is sticking around very long, but maybe the other consideration of not tapping is because if you draw Flesh Giant, it can mess up the Nightshade discard.
That's true. That is true. I mean, yeah, either way then you're taking a 50-50 on turn 3, right? Because you either tap this turn or next turn, and you won't be able to get a guaranteed Nightshade on 3 to discard hand if you draw Giant.
Well, this is very awkward for Shaxy. Definitely wanted to fit in the Panthera, which he kept this turn. And also, no shards shuffled into his deck so far, so the Mystic can't come down for a while either.
Okay. I like the restraint, I'll say there, from Alutemu, because you could not have held me back from slamming that Soulfire like that.
Hey, is this just a mana feeder turn for Shaxy? I feel like if you're gonna be spending a second slice to deal with the Voidwalker, that's a very, very pessimistic play. I definitely prefer this. Yeah, just looking for a way to get soul shards in the deck and then clear it up with the Mystic.
Yeah, the only other line I was considering was like Second Slice Blade Dance, just to proactively clear the board, which I think I would consider if there were soul shards in the deck, so that you could go coin Lapidary to take out a Matron on the following turn. But given that that is not a possibility, I agree.
Look, Dara,
Oh my god, wait! He drew the Giant!
Time.
What? I was looking at Shaxy's turn! Oh, not again! Please, no!
Not like this! mean, he can delay it with a tap and just guaranteed discard Hand of Gul'dan, but it's so painful to miss that tempo this turn.
I mean, I think you go for the Matron, because even if you miss, next turn you're likely to draw something cheap, you play it, you Soulfire, you're still discarding Hand of Gul'dan.
Oh! But it hurts! It hurts so much!
You know what, Gia?
Oh, poor Alutemu.
I'm starting to get a feel as to why he finished bottom in terms of points overall. It's all starting to fit together.
And the Spirit Jailer Shard Shatter turn is so easy for Shaxy.
Yeah. Like I was looking at you like Blade Dance, but this is just so clean on this turn. It's disgusting.
Oh no!
Oh my god, Gia,
Pick
this
up something cheap, you said?
this is
Something
staggering.
cheap?
This is unbelievable. Do you just rip it?
Yeah, I think you do. You still just take another 50. Because what's the best thing you can get if you just tap this turn? What, a Dark Lair for nothing? It's just... One time, something good.
Oh!
Okay.
It finally happened. Alutemu gets a break. Good lord, he deserves it.
Indeed. And that's a Vulture, I believe,
Okay,
with Raised
that's
Dead.
good.
Yes, indeed. And the Raised Dead pool has Matron in it. That's pretty significant. Has Flesh... Oh, wait, no. Flesh Giant was discarded.
I wonder.
Reasons for holding back this
yeah.
turn are the Lapidary, I suppose. But if your opponent is just going to play Lapidary and go face, I think you would rather have that other 3-drop on board, even if the Vulture dies.
I mean, there's going to be a bunch of stuff running through his mind. It's obviously Coin as well that he can deny by like Coin Gul'dan or something that he can deny. It gets super complicated, and obviously he can pop off much more heavily on the following turn if he holds back here.
True. Well, this did shut off like the Coin Hero power Glaive Bound, but Shaxy has a very, very easy play this turn. Not to send this 5 damage into a minion, but he's actually been receiving more damage than Zoo, strangely enough.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I think I would have pointed that face, actually. Like, he's got the board clear for decent-sized minions with Blade Flurry Second Slice. Like, how does Alutemu wrestle this back without dealing significant damage to himself?
I guess exactly second Matron.
Suppose, yeah.
Well, this turn is so awkward now for Alutemu. One more mana would make this extremely easy, but...
A little agony.
He's got to hit the Flame Imp, right? That's what he's going for.
That's right. Even if you can't get down a Vulture this turn, he can go Nightshade Matron.
That's not it. Like, it could have been Canrathad Nightshade there as, like, the strongest tempo. Oh, he still can, obviously. The tap refreshes it there.
Almost out of time.
But now with the Expired Merchant, there's an option of trying to multiply your Prime.
Oh my god.
That's probably too fancy. I don't think he has time to play Prime this game.
Yeah. I mean...
So, Canrathad Matron definitely.
There is so much untapped power in this world.
Yeah, the Canrathad at least has a decent chance to summon back Nightshade Matrons, which is fantastic, of course. But, yeah, you've got to stop the damage on this turn or he's just dying.
Okay, Shaxy has an easy clear on this if he wants with just Second Slice and Glaive Bound at depth. But that's damage that's not going to the face.
At that point, I think you're starting to get pretty likely that the Glaive Bound sticks there, right? You've seen a Soulfire, you've seen both Matrons. It's literally just second Soulfire that clears it off cleanly there. So I think I'm okay.
It hurts a bit to let go of the Second Slice because you have both Magtheridon and Blade
That's
Bound.
true.
I grow
But
impatient.
I completely agree with your point that Glaive Bound is very likely to get damage in on the next turn. And he could just be looking to take a minion-based game instead.
Yeah, for me, the faced of damage approach disappeared on the previous turn when he didn't send the Soul Shard Lapidary damage face, which, again, positives and negatives. You know, if Voidwalker comes down, you're getting pretty scared of a taunt being in the way. I don't know. It gets complicated.
It's been such a scrappy game. Both decks not really operating at optimal. But Alutemu can just try to get a good 3-drop once again, fit in the Spirit Jailer as well.
Yeah.
So many
Gia,
One Griffin,
it's
please.
time. It's diving Griffin time. That's the one.
To offset his bad luck just a little bit. He'll take a King Mukla as well.
Learn obedience,
Okay.
Decent enough.
Okay, he did the thing.
He did do the thing. Which is pretty good, getting him another 3-drop here. It's a lot of pressure now, you know, and all of a sudden, Shaxy doesn't have the AoE that he needs to effectively clear this off. But even then, just hero power blade dance on this turn is pretty good, right? He can damage the vulture after attacking into the
And then
1/1 and then trade.
Oh, it feels so terrible.
He can finish off with Kane. Like, I don't know. It clears the board, right? It's not the worst thing. And it activates the skull for next turn because he plays Kane.
I'm looking at a mixed approach. We try and get down the Kane to deal with the 3-2, I suppose, and then just send the Glavebound face. Does that ever get there with the other Glavebound in hand?
Oh, okay, okay. So then you're tanking... You're tanking a fair bit of damage on that turn.
Yeah, it's probably not quite enough.
time grows short.
But then, if Shaxy wants to, or rather, if Alutemu wants to survive that board, he does have to trade into the game.
Yeah.
I mean, he could still do something along those lines, but it becomes a full trade here instead.
Wow, okay.
Militia not having a single soul fragment in the deck is painful for Shaxy, but he's going for full expenditure of resources.
Right, so
with
this...
HP.
Yeah, this gets obviously a 6/4 on the board as opposed to a 3/2 it would be after the trade. But it does not activate the skull, which is a big difference, it's got to be said, on the following turn, because Alutemu, unless he does a huge amount of damage to himself, is not dead on the backswing.
It's just been so strange how this plays out, because usually when you're up against Zoo, you want to double down on the fact that they need to damage themselves to get
Right.
anything good done. And Shaxy has been playing super conservatively, which allows Alutemu to use his health as a resource more so than
Yeah.
Shaxy does, which I think Demon Hunter is better positioned to do.
I mean, right there, we were
Oh.
looking at Marrow Slicer GG with Kane Sun Fury. But it's not there. It's looking to me like it's probably just Kane and trade, right? Unless you want to take a risk with Skull of Gul'dan.
So best things he can get off of Skull, I'm thinking Spirit Jailer plus second Shard Shatter Mystic, or just something to put Soul Shard in the deck,
Yeah, he's playing Soul Shears, which would be pretty insane, of course.
right? Warblades.
That's
very
good
big.
enough. That's definitely good enough. I guess there were
Oh,
quite a
with
few
Twin
good
Slice.
hits.
Okay.
You don't pick the one, see?
Yep. So he just gets this Warblades up to 6 attack, hits the Voidwalker, and I believe you go face with the Glavebound. Or with the Warblades, either way.
Time grows short.
How much health are you going to? You can only gain up to 5 attack this turn, right? Because of the Neophyte nerf. So you're going up to 14
correct,
health
yeah.
then. I mean, there's nothing that kills you, right? There is nothing. It's only taunts that you're afraid of, for which you have Kane. So I think you're very much within your rights to go face here.
Yep. I'm so conservative. Okay. He did. I thought he was pointing at the Dark Glare, but
Yeah.
this is such a clean setup. Oh, Matrons? And no Voidwalkers have died, though.
No, they have. One just died, right?
Of course. Aside from the one. But not that it matters, because there's Kane in hand.
Yes, and that will provide lethal no matter what. Matron, taunt, double taunt, it does not matter. He could tap first, and if he taps and hits, how many soul shards would it have to be?
I have no idea.
Like 3 soul shards, and then he's maybe surviving to the following turn. But I think the best approach is to pray you get a taunt, pray that Kane isn't there, and then win thereafter.
And from Alatemu's perspective, he probably do this trade
Almost out of time.
4 and then Dark Glare into 2.
I wonder.
try very, very hard that the Kayn isn't there, nor any other way of dealing with the Void Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Despite this being such a strangely back and forth game, and not the style of Demon Hunter I'm used to seeing, especially against a self-damaging deck, Shaxy will get the win at the very last possible moment.
Yeah, as we expected. I think, if you're going to win that matchup, for me, it has to come in the form of Flesh Giants. It really cannot be overstated how devastating that discard was for Alutemu, because even with the discard on the following turn, discarding Hand of Gul'dan with the Soulfire, the thing that, for me, Demon Hunter really struggles against at the moment is big minions, be it Flesh Giant, Mana Giant, Big Edwin, Big Questing, all of the usual suspects in the current metagame. They have to get to such high totals with their weapon damage to activate the Blade Dance most of the time to clear them off, which just doesn't often happen, or consistently happen, I should say. And so that was really the best chance for Alutemu to take the win. Didn't work out, and so now it's only one final deck for Shaxy to take a win with, and another loss tallied up for Alutemu, who is just looking so devastated compared to last season. He's still got time to turn things around. Of course, it's the first game of the round robin. I don't want to overstate how terrible this is for him, but it's setting a path that he does not want to walk down.
Indeed, and it would also be 2 losses for the Zoo. I have to say there were very discreetly unlucky situations there
Yes.
for Alutemu. Just straight up losing 2 and 3 chance to discard Skull of Gul'dan, and then a 50-50, and the worst possible top decks on several turns in a row.
Yeah.
I do wonder if we can even state definitively if Zoo is just good on average. I would imagine if this many players are bringing it in APAC, it went very differently in their testing. But I will say that I think the average outcome for Zoo versus Demon Hunter in particular would be in favor of the Demon Hunter. So maybe this was not quite the lineup that Alutemu was expecting to face.
Yeah, I mean, you have to imagine that he was expecting a bit more priest, I guess, in order to bring the Zoo, because I think that's generally what people tout is the reason you bring Zoo is to counter priest. But then I'm seeing people on ladder saying, like, lol, I'm just destroying Zoo. Like, who was it, Zerios, I think, saying that he's just destroying Zoo as priest. But, I mean, he destroys everything. It's just what he does on ladder. Either way, it is going to have to get a win at some point in the series for Alutemu if he wants to turn things around. 3-0 sweep has to happen on the Tempo Mage, and it's already a pretty reasonable hand for Shaxy, with Magic Trick for some extra spells, Apprentice and Cyclone for plenty of value, which is just what you're looking for against the Priest.
Yep, Alutemu keeps the package deal combo right there, which sometimes fails if you just get Mana Giants and say Ras off the top, and you would ideally want to hit these cheaper minions and cycle to juice up the combo, but that is definitely not the case for Shaxy, hitting Solarian and the Spellwing to eventually give him Arcane Missiles. But Alutemu's hand is pretty great as well. He kept the Thought Steal just for immediate play, but Zephyrus also tried to backstop.
It's so tough with Zephyrus, isn't it? Because the problem I find with this game plan they're going for Zephyrus is, in the early game, unless you're pulling an overwhelming advantage in terms of tempo with the use of Kaj primarily to achieve that, you're kind of just putting something on the board for your opponent to attack into. This allows them to activate a lot of their spells. And the Zephyrus backstab here it's decent, of course, to lock down the early game a little bit more securely, but it's not insane.
I mean, he does it because he has raised that, right? That's the
Sure,
he
sure.
can immediately get back to Zephyrus. Up. Oh.
Cyclone?
Cyclone? He's got a bunch of 0 cost, right?
Yeah, I mean, Forbidden Words isn't really a 0-cost spell. But, yeah, like, Apprentice Thought Steal is pretty powerful, right? In order to try and get some cheap spells on the other side and tempo those out.
It's a lot.
Yeah, literally.
I think it's probably still Cyclone. Even without Forbidden Words, there's Scheme, Raise Dead Coin.
Pretty good. That's a lot of spells you're generating. I mean, if anything, it's too much value, right? With Zephyrus coming back, Raise Dead, the Kronks and Thought Steal, he's never going to run out of things to spend his mana on.
Not too quickly.
Okay, I'm coming around to Apprentice then. But clearly, Alutemu is deep in the tank.
I mean,
We've not
maybe
seen
fond
him
of
make
power
any
is
straight up mistakes.
Yeah, like, it could be Font of Power for the third option. Like, if that can get Mana Giant, that's insane. Antonidas would be insane. You know, there's a few things you can go for, but my first instinct is the one that Alutemu does end up.
You don't pick the ones. See?
Shaxy's first instinct this turn is rip the Wand Maker. I was potentially considering just making this turn the pop-off with potentially 4 spells with the magic trick, but this way it gets even bigger.
I like juicing it a little bit more. Just let them develop something onto the board here, and then these missiles are going to be clearing that up, gaining you a bunch of tempo all at the same time. Disgusting.
Well, with second Lazul, maybe he can just have the lot. Take the Cyclone
Oh!
this time.
Oh!
Oh!
I mean, what do you even pick? Is it just Magic Trick because you can do that with Apprentice? Like, it's too many cards. He can't spend all these cards. Oh!
He is just going for a big old pop-off to respond to
Oh
Shaxy's
my
pop-off
God.
this turn.
Alright, best minions here. Giant, Antonidas, Messenger Raven. Let's have a do-over next turn. Why not?
Mirror Image, just for another cheap thing to play this turn.
Yeah, okay. I was looking at Entity there just to draw through to some extra actual power cards like Giant, but this is fine.
Oh man!
Alright, what do we got?
Cram Session.
Pretty good.
Elemental Allies.
Pretty good. Elemental Allies, a deceptively good card in the deck as soon as Giants start coming down. Shenvala, Violet Spellwings, plenty of ways to activate it.
Card draw is really big because now he just has Jandis for the follow-up. Because I assume Alutemu was just going to take this turn to, what, coin Zephyrus Nova, or just...
Like,
Zephyrus Lightning Storm is terrible, right?
so
Don't want to overload.
Alutemu does have the Broom, so if he gets any kind of removal whatsoever in order to clear off something, he can guarantee himself the clear on the Apprentice, right? Because he can go like Sork, Lazul, Coin, Mana Cyclone. Maybe you go for
Wait,
the
what,
Thought Steal
Lazul?
first.
Oh, the scheme.
Yeah, Lazul Scheme, sorry. To reduce the Apprentice, and then you end the turn with Forbidden Words in order to kill off the Apprentice. Like, there is an Apprentice pop-off turn here that's pretty good.
Okay. But it leaves other minions on board. I'm just leaning towards the very simple Zephyrus clear.
Okay. That's fine.
It makes your pop-off with Apprentice. It's not very much a pop-off, it's just a tiny, tiny combo. But, like you said, it has no shortage of value. I think this is fine. Just doesn't want to take any more damage.
What makes something?
Right, let's develop that threat. Clear off the Zephyrus. Keep the pressure going. This is what you need to be doing as the mage. Every turn, put a threat. Every turn, demand an answer. And Shaxy should be able to do that for the foreseeable future. Messenger Raven, Primordial Studies can get him a big minion as well. Power of Creation is huge. It's a close game.
Yeah, he has just hit a very good curve
Whoa.
off the back of that combo.
Apprentice
Oh man.
into the Sethic. What?
What?
That's disgusting.
Okay, you do it. Go, Alutemu. Go. Not enough time for this.
It's too many cards.
I must consider.
His turn's like a third over already.
I mean, you can't quite fit in the Mana Cyclone unless you get a 1-cost spell
Oh
off
my
of
God.
Sethic. So I guess it's not actually going to be a Sethic turn.
Oh, Prime.
Prime?
Oh.
Broomstick, rush the Spellwing, and then you get the missiles immediately, and then you could...
So we can go Lazul
Wait.
Scheme for 4, kill off the 4/4. Obviously, Shaxy's done the old switcheroo here and made the 5/4 the actual disguised version.
Not quite killing off with...
Go.
okay,
This is sick. This is a full clear.
Forbidden Words instead of... Yeah. He went about it in pretty much the optimal way as well. To get the rush on the Cyclone, you had to play it down before the scheme?
Perfect.
You fight me.
Yeah, I mean, Scheme would have spent all his mana anyway, right? So he wouldn't have been able to play anything after that. Malagos?
It doesn't synergize with this hand.
I mean, it synergizes with your opponent's face in that it hits it every turn.
Okay. Alright, alright.
Khadgar! Khadgar, power of creation! Or do you just take
You
another
can wait
prime?
that long. I think you take the prime, right? Because you're gonna go Pock next turn.
Well, like, it could be Malagos next turn, polymorph whatever nonsense the turn after, and then turn
What to do,
10, you just go for
what to do.
power of creation Khadgar?
Is the upside of waiting 2 turns
Runs out
sorry,
on
is
me.
the downside of waiting 2 turns worth the upside of 2 extra minions?
I
I've been
don't
kind
know.
of saying no because of Shadow Word Ruin, Soul Mirror, etc. Just giving priests more time. I just like the idea of chaining threats one after the other as soon as possible. So
Okay.
I like to pick from Shaxy.
And what do we like about this play from Alutemu of 7 mana, Solarian Prime in hand?
I
Just
like
good,
every
right?
single aspect of it.
Yeah.
Seems powerful.
Unless you want to faff
This is-
about with Sethic, right? You just jam it.
I have become one with the
It's the type of size of board that Prime can reasonably sweep up. Just like that. But
Easy.
now it's gonna start damaging itself. Oh, nutty! What is
Oh
that?
my god! That's insane!
Hello?
Oh! Alutemu, for the first time in a month, has got lucky. It finally happened, Gia.
Oh, his cheeky little thumbs up as well. How can you not like Alutemu?
Oh.
Okay, for Shaxy, this is a disaster.
Yeah, this is completely a disaster. I mean, even the synergy between the two cards. He got the Spellkin, which gives 1 mana cards to activate the exotic Mount Seller. It's a well-oiled machine, Gia.
Even as Dragon Caster. Okay. Okay. Realistically, for Shaxy, I think this is an apprentice
What to
turn
do,
with the Cram Session,
what to
Astromancer, and Polymorph.
Okay,
I don't
okay.
think any Power of Creation turn is good enough in the face of the Mount Seller. Like, even if you hit the nuts, which I would assume is like double Sunwalker, it feels like not enough because Alutemu can go very wide with this Mount Seller soon.
Yeah, blatant decoy, like maybe you can snipe some nonsense from your opponent's hand, but more likely it just hamstrings you, I think it's fair to say.
I mean, he's just playing Highlander Mage now, right?
It's so disgusting. Like, Dragoncaster Conjurer's Calling on his own guy is a ludicrously powerful play. Apotheosis is bananas.
I don't think this is a Sethek turn. He has so many cards.
More.
you can probably just go for Apotheosis, Frostbolt, Volterra. Be very, very happy with your life.
Oh my god. Okay, Alutemu has been storing it all up for this game. Bad luck after bad luck, and finally it's all coming together.
Not a great strategy if you're expending it all in this one game as well. There.
I didn't say it was a good strategy.
Mage.
I just said it was the strategy. Oh my god!
I mean, the funny thing is, Shaxy doesn't even know how incredibly dead he is.
He's super dead. Dead is no longer an absolute state. He is double dead at this point. He's discovered the next level.
Been sent to the graveyard and obliterated and just removed from play. There's just too much value. Okay, well, he just goes for like Nova, Solarian.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably.
is he setting up for Malagos Cram Session next turn to draw 6 cards? Like, if he can survive the turn upon doing that, that's obviously very powerful.
Time runs out on me.
But I'm
That's fair.
skeptical to say that he will survive the turn.
I mean, he can just Nova now, and then Alutamu's not likely to put down a total of 30 damage on board. With only 2 board spaces, then he can go for the Mali Cram Session.
He's doing it.
Yeah.
He's actually doing it.
Oh my god, if you're Alutemu, just
What do you
Out
even
of
do?
all of these things, I don't even see a guaranteed way outside of Soul Mirror to kill the apprentice.
That's what I mean. Is it just Soul Mirror on this turn to clear off an apprentice?
I must
This
consider.
sounds so ludicrous, but why not?
Other than that, it's like Spellkin. I mean, you could just cast Conjurer's Calling on it, but that, of course, opens you up to Doomsayer, which, I mean, honestly, Doomsayer would be fantastic if you actually...
Yeah, it would be, right? This board that Alutemu has, total trash. He
Yeah.
doesn't need it. There's no hand space. He's gonna get a dragon. He has no hand space for this arcane missiles.
Oh my god.
None for the draw.
Oh! Evocation! Is that... Oh, does that ever offer lethal? Like, if you go Malagos, Evocation, can you ever make anything work there?
A billion arcane missiles.
Right. That's it, right? That's the out. Maybe not.
More realistically, I think he's searching for
Go!
just, yeah, Magic Tricks, Rays of Frost to get more freeze.
Mm-hmm.
Just play everything.
Yeah. Got to freeze as much as possible.
Double Ray of Frost on Mukla and... Okay, I guess he's just gonna make room to go face.
Playing the evocation here.
How many missiles? Not that missile.
Yeah, wrong one. He can draw 6 more cards on this turn with the Crown Session if he wants.
Okay, if the win condition of
cast-
Hearthstone was to just draw your entire deck instead of reducing your opponent's HP to 0, then we would have a real game on our hands.
Hand is too full.
So obviously lethal not represented. Even with stealing a Malagos, he doesn't have anything that can combo with that. So
He's more than happy to just kill everything but the Malagos
must
and then go for
consider.
Galakrond.
yeah, I mean he's got the spell burst of the 3/5 there though. I cannot remember the name of that card, but it has spell burst destroy a random enemy minion, so he can finagle that to be pretty disgustingly powerful here, actually, right?
Indeed. I guess he doesn't actually have a cheap spell anymore that he can play with Galakrond. It's just
I
Conjurer's
must
Calling.
consider.
Right. I mean, if he just goes trade, clear 2 of his minions off the board, or even just 1, he can go Soul Mirror for a clear, which gets him a Malagos and destroys his opponent's Malagos.
Yes, that definitely sounds the most reasonable of the plays and gives
Right.
him very, very little room for error.
Yeah, no secrets, just side quests, nothing can go wrong there. Yep. Just looks super clean.
Even clears off 1 more board space, so he can dump good old Septic.
Yeah, I am. I'm not sensing it right now for Shaxy to pull himself out of this one. Oh, Alutemu even making the board space as well for the 6/6. Shaxy, he can draw 3 spells with the Violet Spellwing because it completes the side quest. But even then, like, it has to be Discover Freeze on this turn. Maybe he can discover Puzzle Box as an out.
Every little thing this game has been so funny to me. Like Alutemu spending 12 out of 8 mana to finish her quest. It's just so excessive, everything about this game.
Yeah. Okay, dual missiles can give Doomsayer, of course, as a very, very fringe but possible out.
You just need to think about every fringe possibility. Shaxy probably just
Yeah.
searching for his own prime. There it is.
There it is. I think he's still got another one in his deck and the ability to shuffle yet another one in there. He's discovered a lot of Solarians this game.
Any one of those can cast a puzzle box, so it's not all over.
There is a chance. It seems ludicrous to say, but there is.
The way this game has been going, definitely not off the table. In fact, I think we're gonna see a box. One way or another.
Life and hope.
Oh, say it ain't so. Oh my god, too much value! Stop! Stop with the value! I mean, just play
Well,
Sarah.
Yeah, just try to hit Awakens or something. He just wants burst at this point.
Like, he's not even close to being close to running out of value here. You just play the biggest thing you can every turn, and you don't think about it.
I
I
dream.
think he has about 3 decks worth of value in this one game alone. And he's only drawn 15 cards so far. Alright, prime number 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's a dumpable card for the first time ever for Alutemu.
Oh my god, he's finally done it. Right, okay, secrets activated, spell damage powered up, Solarian Prime online. It has to be now.
I have become one with the void.
The words you said there sounded a lot like Mech Warper. Oh my god, I read! Powering up portals online. That's what I heard. You said those words.
Yeah, I
But
mean-
let's just watch these spells now.
Powering up Brain offline, because oh my god, what is happening here? That's okay, you get that back to the hand at the end of your turn. Ooh. Okay.
Oh my god. Words actually clear.
Oh! What? How is this possible? Oh, okay, that was bad. That was bad. That was almost insane.
Need a couple seconds for my brain to unmelt.
I mean, he got good taunts there as well, right? Evasive Draconid is huge. Bone
Yeah.
Chewer, not Bone Chewer Brawler, Bone Chewer Vanguard, whatever that card's
Man,
called.
it's too
It's
full.
insane here as well.
I'm trying to accept that we might be taking this game to fatigue, at
Oh
least
my
from the mage
God.
side.
How?
But for now, Alutemu, the dream, kills off the prime full hand for Shaxy. Then he can
Correct.
just play Alexstrasza. That's a
That-
really good situation outside of mirror entity.
Mm-hmm. Or, of course, Counterspell / Spellbender.
True. I mean, you're still gonna spend the dream, right? Because it either procs it, in which case, in either case, the prime doesn't enter the hand. There's just no space.
I must consider.
Mm-hmm.
Or he could just test with the Dragoncaster Punch, and if it is either Spellbender or Counterspell, then the dream will for sure go off.
Oh!
Wow.
I mean, so he's accounted for Spellbender and Counterspell now, right? He can just go for sapping the Solarian Prime to kill it. Oh! Mirror's
Wow.
It's gotta be Mirror's
Yeah.
right?
We can just take the Alex and try to kill him before he can play another prime.
Okay.
Okay. Well optimized from Alutemu. It's so easy to get distracted by all of the crazy things that have been going on. I know for sure I would have done 100 things that would have thrown the game by this point.
So you can go for devolving missiles, which you could do after you. So what? Frostbolt, Ray of Frost on the 5/5 clears it off, and then you could ping. Oh no, wait, nothing has 1 health. I'm just trying to find a way where you can maximize the chances of devolving the 7/7, because that's the scary bit right now.
Mhm. Probably do just rip it first and then go accordingly from there. At worst, he can play down his own 7/7 and then just bolt the 5/5 for the freeze effect.
That's
Oh
true.
wait, he's overloaded. Ah.
Yeah, like it would have to be just devolving missiles plus evasive, which is okay. You know, that's not a bad play.
At that point, you probably just take Ray of Frost with the evasive.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Just a delay plan. All he wants is the other prime. How many Alex draws in this of either variant?
So it gets the discount here.
Draws not like
Uh-oh.
this.
Oh my god. Both of them playable on this turn, and that very well may just be straight up the best play he can make here.
Uh-huh.
But he knows there's more primes in the deck. After what happened last time, can you really play out your
I
minions
mean,
here?
You probably don't play around it, right? You just
Yeah,
force
yeah,
Shaxy to play it, and then if it,
Agreed.
at worst case, you can take it to fatigue, I
Magic
suppose.
is not a toy.
Not too quickly.
Also, it'd have to be a pretty spectacular prime to get this many stats.
Okay, okay. Oh! 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 Do it! No! Oh my god!
How does this even resolve if it plays another box but there's an Azor move?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay. Wow.
Oh my god.
Wait a minute!
Whoa!
You're not serious. You are not. Oh my.
What?
This
What?
head crack is just. Is he just gonna burst Alutemu out of this as head crack? Frostbolt? Raz? That's all burst.
I
Over
am
a
in
couple
shock.
turns?
I wonder.
Yeah?
Oh my god. The 6/6 as well?
What happened? What's happening? Does he just get there?
Mind render.
apotheosis.
Oh, what does that do?
Oh my god.
My brain is already melted. What more could possibly happen?
Don't think it's a minor render turn. I think he has to go
Yeah.
death and then see what the spell burst gives him and then
Okay.
possibly a renew turn.
Yeah, maybe renew Galacrond and hope to hit the 50-50.
Ooh.
A simple spell.
Trying to hit Radiance. Oh my god, these are terrible.
Yeah, those are big whiffs.
Just dying!
Lose this.
He's just dying.
He has no space for this thing, for the spell burst.
Okay, that's bad. And I guess he just straight up didn't want the spell burst because it's not as good on average. But like, Shadow of Death, trade,
Quickly.
he's not dead, but he's very, very close. And to the Frostbolt plus Headcrack, he may well just be.
Oh my god! He is just dead, right?
Oh my god.
Even if he trades into this Twilight Tree. Okay, can this give anything small enough? 6 damage, 9 with Frostbolt, another 2 with the head crack, and the ping for the lethal
Explode!
or the spell damage. What the heck happened this game, Derek?
I
How
cannot
did
believe
Alutemu
it.
lose?
That was unbelievable. And at the same time, that subtle reaction is the biggest pop-off that we have ever seen from Shaxy in a game of Hearthstone. I think no one believed him to be more out of that game than himself. But I mean, what do I even say about that? It was a ludicrous way to close out the game. Like, maybe on that final turn, there was something that Alutemu could have done. It was a weird play, spending 5 mana on the, on the Spellkin right at the start instead of trying to find spells from the Onyx Scribe in order to try and get it. But what? Just what happened?
It was the box. It cleared board after board. Okay, obviously, Alutemu was going to win every time there if we looked at a pure value game. But
Yes.
even though I keep calling for box as the out in these impossible situations for Mage, I don't even imagine myself how good the box has to be. And it absolutely was everything Shaxy needed. It cleared board, it gave himself his own board, and it drew cards so he could play the other prime. And the other prime, which just dealt so much burst damage to Alutemu and somehow generated head crack somewhere in that equation. And then Alutemu just didn't have time to play all of his value, but he had time to play double Alex Raza. He had time to play the Sethek train. I don't know, Derek. My brain not there.
I'm calling it. There is one explanation and one explanation only. Alutemu has been cursed. He has a curse put upon him. That is the only way that you go from one of the best performing players across all of Grandmasters, very, very nearly qualifying through to the World Championships, right up at the top of Division A every single time, and yet now didn't appear on stream once. Even when he gets lucky, he's actually secretly getting unlucky because opponent is getting more lucky. He's just being led into a false sense of security. He's being given hope that he has any chance of turning this one around. and yet he is 0-3 swept. It was a disgusting way to close things out. I don't know what to say. Poor Alutemu. It was a brutal way to lose that game that I thought was so unbelievably cleanly over.
You thought he won. I thought he won. He thought he won. He gave the thumbs up. It just, I don't know. Okay, but as much as I feel for Alutemu, and I sorely, sorely hope that he is not cursed for real, I have to hand it to Shaxy too for spotting the burst line towards the end there. And of course, it wasn't just this last game that made up the series. He did take 2 wins before that, and the lineup is looking a lot more conventional, which I feel that Shaxy has potential to do much better when he's not doing anything too crazy with his list, which he has been wont to do for some time now.
Yeah, he has. It's, I think, an appropriate, if sad, way for Alutemu to start off his series because, again, as I said, the first 3 weeks we didn't get to see him once. We just saw on the tracking sheet he was losing a lot of games of Hearthstone, and it's all starting to be put into perspective now as we move on to our final game of the day. And finally, Gia, a slightly more light-hearted match, I think it's fair to say, because these have all been Division B games today. Every loss, even right at the start, it's the first of 14 matches to be played for our players. It still hurts to get that loss right at the start. It sets them on a path they don't